In the growing unrest in Ukraine, but my next guest says neighboring Russia is a good place to invest right now. Jim Rogers is with me. He is the contributor for the next 30 minutes. He's the chairman of Rogers Holdings. And Jim, it's always wonderful to have you on the program.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Maria. Are you kidding? I love being here.
Good to see you. So, I mean, buying Russia right now, that sounds, I mean, you've had the capital flight out of Russia. You've had the Russian ruble plummet. You've had the Russian stock market plummet. And that's all the reasons that you like.
That sounds wonderful, doesn't it? What more do you want to know?
Yeah.
I know your parents taught you to buy low and sell high. I've seen you on TV before. You're always talking about buying things that are cheap. Russia's hated. It's probably the second most hated after Argentina stock market in the world. It's got vast natural resources. It's got a freely convertible currency. I mean, I don't see any reason not to step in when there's blood in the streets.
But do you worry that this conflict spirals and impacts the economy, which then hurts investments?
I worry about everything.
Yeah.
I've been investing long enough to know I have to invest about everything. But you see, the American stock market's going through the roof. Nobody here seems to be worried we're about to go to war with Russia.
Right.
And I certainly am not worried that that's
So how
going
do
to
you
happen.
do it? You want to buy straight out commodities? You want to buy?
I buy shares. No, but I buy shares. I don't own the ruble naked at the moment, but I might at some point. I own shares. Believe it or not, you know that Moscow was the home of Lenin and Stalin. I own shares of the Moscow Stock Exchange, just to show you how strange things are and how the world changed.
And I know you would also do it through ETFs. You could do it in emerging markets.
Yes, I own ETFs. I own Aeroflot. I own various things, and I'm looking for more things to buy. If I weren't talking to you right now, I'd probably be finding things to buy.
In Russia?
Yes, in Russia.
What about the other emerging markets, Jim? Any evidence in your view that we've actually bottomed? Money's coming out of emerging markets big time.
Well, Maria, there are dozens of emerging markets. So when you say emerging markets,
right.
Which ones?
Okay.
I'm buying Russia. I'm putting a little money into China, if you consider that emerging market. The Chinese government has said we're going to support these areas of the Chinese economy. I'm putting money there, too.
Yeah. What about a place like Brazil? I mean, you're right. You can't really say, you know, the chunk of emerging markets and think you know what to invest in, because each of these countries have very different mentalities.
Different governments, different assets, different liabilities.
India's election right now?
I wouldn't buy India with your money, but it's going to boom because they're going to elect a conservative, a guy who people think is good. But I wouldn't buy it with my money.
Why?
But it's going to do well. Because it's a shambles. I mean, it's got gigantic debt. Everybody has done studies which show that when debt gets over 90% to GDP, it's very difficult to grow. Well, they're there. You know, people don't they ignore that when they talk about India. Plus, it's a bureaucratic nightmare. Plus, they don't like each other. I could go on and on.
All right, what about Japan? There's another country with huge debt. That's been the worry.
I'm buying Japan.
You are.
I have bought Japan, and I'm looking to buy more in Japan. Mr. Abe is going to ruin Japan. You must understand this. In 10 years, we're going to look back and say, Abe ruined Japan. But in the meantime, he has said, I will print unlimited amounts of money, and I will spend unlimited amounts of money. That money's got to go somewhere, and one place it has been going and will go is into the stock market.
All right, so you would buy Japan then. How do you do that?
Well, I own your husband's ETF. Full disclosure, there's something called Wisdom Tree, hedged shares, which are ETF, which I own. I own some of the blue chips, things like NTT have been going sideways for over a decade. I mean, there's some real values in Japan.
Yeah. All right, so you like DXJ in Japan. You're not going near India. You said you would actually buy Russia right now. What I really want to know from you is what about the U.S.? Got a market that's up 102 points.
Maria, the stock market's making all-time highs. My parents taught me to buy low and sell high. Why would I buy something at the all-time high when I can look around and buy things that are low? And by the way, S&P, you mentioned this, you know, the average S&P stock is down 9% this year, and the S&P is making all-time highs. That shows you that it's really just a few high-priced stocks which are causing the distortion.
All right, that's what I want to talk about.